Can it get any more exciting than March Madness? Come on. This is probably one of the most exclusive times of the year in the sports betting world, and I am joined again by my two co-hosts, the one and only Teddy Brooks, the CEO of the Sports Profits. What's going on, Teddy?
Oh, I'm fired up. I'm excited.
Are you jacked?
I am, yeah.
All right, good. How was your weekend with the St. Patty's weekend? Did you chill out?
It was good. I made some bets on Saturday, took off on Sunday and golfed. It was a good weekend, though.
Just chilling, getting ready for this tournament, I
Yeah.
guess. All right, well, we're going to bring it over to the one and only. Here he is, guys. The big kahuna OSB, Tommy D. What's up, Tommy?
Hey, it's the time of the year to get crazy, huh?
I don't know. I think so. I mean, I got to ask you guys, in your opinion, of all the sports betting, we've been around for all the years we've been doing it. What do you think is the most exciting time of the year when it comes to sports betting? You think it's the NFL playoffs? You think it's the college football bowl games? Or is it this tournament, March Madness? What's your thoughts on that?
I think I'm going to have a funny answer for you. I like, for me personally, when I personally get, now I'm not talking about the general public, but when I personally get the most excited is the very beginning of the college football season, because there's so much ahead, and I get excited about that. I think for the general public, it's probably the NFL playoffs, just because the NFL is so popular. But for true bettors, I think it's March Madness.
Well, we were just in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying that outside of
Super Bowl, March Madness is the big dog.
Yeah, I mean, they pour in there this week. They come in thinking they're going to get the job done and do all this winning, and a lot of them find out the hard way. They come in about a nice vehicle, and they go home in a nice bus.
Greyhound bus. The thing with the bowl games now, the bowl games are losing a lot of their mystique because of players dropping out, the transfer portal not going in. Bowl games are in trouble, I think, ratings wise and overall.
Well, that's definitely true what you're saying, because a lot of these key players now, they don't want to get injured. I mean, they got too much money on the line, so it kind of takes the fun out of these big bowl games like it used to years ago. They all played. Now they don't want to play.
Yeah.
But with this March Madness tournament, guys, let me tell you something. The next 2.5 weeks are going to be exciting, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities out there. So pay close attention to some of the things we're going to say on the show, because we're going to try to give you that betting edge and put you in the right spot to help you become a winner over the next 2.5 weeks in this tournament. There was a couple of things that we were talking about outside. We'll get into the tournament, obviously. We're going to give you selections and things like that. But did you read that interesting article? We don't know how true it is or what it is, based on the performer Bruno Mars losing all this money at the casinos in Las Vegas, owing like $50 million to the MGM.
It's trending. In the end, is it true? Is it not true? He's into MGM, they claim, for $50 million. He has, I think, a residency there.
$90 million a year.
Yeah, so obviously there's something going on. Now, I read this, and it's a little controversial because they said it was either poker or blackjack. Now, I'm not a poker guy. Maybe you guys could chime in. Will a casino give you credit to play poker? I know they'll give you chips for blackjack. There's no money in poker. They make it on the draw, as they call it, or so.
Yeah. Well, when you're a big-time celebrity, you could probably get a lot of perks on different things.
Was his residency at the MGM?
Yeah.
So they probably did things for him that they normally don't do. They probably said, here's $1 million in chips, go play poker. Here's $1 million in chips, go play blackjack.
Oh, so they were paying him off like in chips too?
No, I think they were paying him because it says he owes it, so they were probably giving him a line of credit.
Yeah.
And now he needs to pay up.
Funny story I had. I mean, this was probably going back 12, 13 years ago, but I used to play at the area, and who was playing dice, I mean, at the time, was Bruno Mars was right next to me. It was like the first time I guess he opened up even a credit line in Nevada back in the time. But he wasn't a big player at the time, so it just shows you what happens with players when they get into it. They start moving more and more and more. When you're getting caught up in losing $50 million, wow, that's
and it goes back to responsible gaming. How did they let this guy get in a hole of $50 million?
Well, because they know he's making 90.
Right, it's not up
He's
to
making 90, and they're the ones paying him. So
they're not here to babysit you.
Yeah, the way they look at it, hey,
I mean,
the guy's going to make 90 this year, so if he loses 50, he could probably pay it. He needs to call your buddy Mr. Fromm and at least get some more comps.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was Kenny Fromm, my man.
Guy will be at the buffet soon if he doesn't get his act together.
The casinos aren't going to babysit you. You come in with the money. You're able to do what you want. I mean, I have credit lines at a lot of different casinos. They're not going to tell me, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Matter of fact, they even extend you if you lose your credit line. Let's say you have I'm just going to make up a number, $10,000 credit line, and you go through that $10,000 credit line, they'll even extend you 50% more on your credit line if you have the money available in your funds and you're established. So they'll give you an extra $5,000 more to play with. So it's not like they're sitting there babysitting you. They're helping you actually
go broke.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it.
I mean. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what happens with that. But that's a lot of change, man. $50 million.
A lot of change, I would say. I don't know I don't know where he was playing, but poker tables or on the casino tables.
Well, the casino doesn't get the money from poker though.
They just get the rake, right?
They get the rake. So if he lost 50, some poker player got that money. MGM did not. Blackjack, of course, they get the money. So I guess there'll be more coming out on this.
Well, we'll hear more in the future. Yeah. But, hey, listen, he's not the first. He won't be the last. I've seen guys over my years going to these casinos. It's amazing that the type of money these guys drop, and then they get caught up in it. The problem is don't forget, they establish themselves in multiple casinos, so they have credit lines at this place, so they lose in one place, then they go over to their other credit line across the street at another place, and that's how guys, you could really get hurt if you start really trying to push it and chase after it. So we tell you all the time, don't be the type that's a chaser and go after it, because you can really, really get hurt. But we want to focus more on this tournament, because this is what it's all about for the next 2.5 weeks, is this March Madness. And we got a bunch of games going on Thursday. I think there's a total of how many, 16 games on Thursday?
16 games Thursday, 16 games Friday, and then 8 and 8 Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Very exciting stuff. The only bad part is we don't know who's going to be playing Saturday and Sunday yet, so we can't give the people those picks.
No.
But we can give them the Thursday, Friday picks. I wanted to bring something up really quick.
Go right ahead.
Tommy sent the article in our chat about a couple of these teams, Seton Hall and Pitt, refusing to, or is it St. John's?
St. John's.
Refusing to play in the NIT.
Yeah.
And I looked at everything, and I just wanted to tell you guys a number here. The Mountain West Conference has 6 teams in the tournament. Utah State, I got to find it now, but they have 6 teams in the tournament. It's the Mountain West. It's, they're ranked like the 20-something conference in the league in college. So Boise State, Utah State, Colorado State, Nevada, New Mexico, and San Diego State. The Big East only has 3.
Right. Well, the Big East isn't the powerhouse they once were, but
it's not. But they do have some
Marquette,
good teams:
Creighton,
Marquette, Creighton, UConn,
right.
and St. John's and Seton Hall. They made some strong runs at the end of the year, so it is a little bit surprising to me. And you saw Rick Pitino came out, so they use a ranking and analysis program now to build these brackets. It's called NET, N-E-T.
Patino goes, he doesn't want to hear that word ever again.
Yeah, Patino said that the NET ranking system is a complete scam. He doesn't believe in it, so he's hot. He's very upset right now.
Yeah, well, they played a good. Let me tell you, St. John's played really well towards the end. They even gave Connecticut a battle. They lost 95-90, number 1 seed, number 1 team in the nation. So they think based on their schedule, their strength of schedule, and the way they were performing, they felt they should be in that tournament based on looking at all the other teams, that got ahead of them. So I can understand their beef with it, because they did play probably a stronger schedule, and some of these teams that got in definitely played a stronger schedule. And, even with Pittsburgh had a very good season, and they play in a very tough conference, the ACC. So, I can understand their beast, because they play a strong schedule. They won, I think St. John's won about 20 games or 19 this year. I know Pittsburgh.
And they rallied at the end, because in the beginning, St. John's was not doing very well.
Right. So I can understand the beef and them being a little pissed off that they don't want to just go into the NIT.
I don't think, for St. John's, I don't think Pitino makes the final decision, because let's face it, the NIT, these games are on ESPN. There's a lot of money for the school. So
Well, I think it's a whole group
Are
decision.
they going to
obviously.
turn down all that revenue because they feel they got
I
snubbed?
think if the coach and the players don't want to play in it, they're not
Right.
going to.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is you're
know.
always going to have controversy when you have selection committees making these
look
picks.
what happened
Just
this
like
year.
college
Yeah.
football, you're always going to have this.
Florida State, right?
There's always going to be somebody
Yeah.
upset that they
Of
didn't
course,
get in.
of
And
course.
there's always going to be controversy.
Yeah, well, that's part of sports. That's how it is. But I can understand, like I said, the beef with a couple of the teams because they did play strong schedules. They did have winning records, and they did play tougher opponents. But listen, we got a bunch of games going on Thursday. I know you guys want to dig in just like I want to dig in. We're trying to keep you guys focused on some quality selections. Listen, guys. Don't get caught in chasing after these games all day, all night. Look to zone in on games where you have an advantage. If I could teach you anything, these numbers on these games are very difficult to beat, especially this time of the year in these tournaments. Teddy could tell you that. Tommy could tell you that. You got to really focus on the games that make the most sense to you. Don't just chase after them because there's an early game and a late afternoon game and an early evening game and then a later game and then the late game. I mean, you could really get banged up if you do that. But we're going to try to point you in the right directions. I know Teddy's got a couple of plays he's looking at on Thursday. If you want to go right ahead and incite the audience
Let's
on
do
what
it.
they're doing.
And yeah, to add to what Scotty was saying, there are so many people that in this time of the year they feel the need to bet every game because it's the last stretch of games, it's a tournament, and they want to have action on every game. I'm picking in this early round, I'm picking about 2 or 3 games a day to make a look at, and then probably on the Saturday and Sunday slate, probably only 1 or 2 games each day. So the first game I'm looking at is Duquesne versus BYU. Duquesne won the Atlantic 10 tournament. They're ranked 28th in defensive efficiency, very good at forcing turnovers, and very good at defending the three-point shot. BYU, so be it, is 51% of their points come from three-pointers. They're second most in college basketball.
Okay.
Now, they lost in the quarterfinals of the Big 12. Here's my thing. If BYU is not making their threes, they're going to struggle. Against the Duquesne team, that's kind of their specialty, is forcing turnovers and
Smothering
stopping
defense,
the
yeah.
threes and smothering defense. I think 9 points is a lot here, and I'm going with Duquesne +9. That's one of my dogs. Next one, big favorite. I know Scotty likes this too. He looked down at my paper, and he gave me a little nod. This Iowa State team, boy, oh boy, they're playing South Dakota State.
Is that game Friday, though?
That's Friday, I believe.
Yeah, that's a Friday game.
Oh, I apologize.
No
Okay.
problem.
That's all right. Keep going.
I'm going to just cover it anyway.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Iowa State, this might be my favorite team in the tournament right now. They beat Kansas State, Baylor, Houston.
Annihilated Houston.
In the conference tournament. They score 75.5 points a game, and they only give up 61 points a game. They're 12-5 against the spread, and when they score 70 or more, they're 13-4 against the spread with the number 4th ranked defense in the country against a South Dakota State team that gives up 71 points a game. Yes, South Dakota State can score a lot, but they give up a lot of points, and based on their average that they give up, and based on Iowa State's against the spread numbers, I think they cover this 15 points fairly easily here. And did I pull
Is
out
it 15, that line? That's the latest?
15 and a half?
I saw it as high as 16. and a
16.
half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking it to 15. This one. Yeah, I see what I did here. I'm running through all my Friday games first. I mix my days up. So, Duquesne is Thursday, and then my last Thursday game is this is actually Thursday. NC State versus Texas Tech. I looked at this line and I'm like, this should be 3, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Texas Tech is favored by 6 points. They're just not a super reliable team. And NC State obviously just won the ACC tournament. Now, a lot of people might say, they're going to be fatigued. They're going to be tired from winning that tournament. But there's a lot of time off. You're talking about 3-4 days.
That line's actually come down to 5. I'm seeing right now.
It's come down.
Kingston
It's come down to 5. Yeah, I mean, it should be, like I said, it should be 3 really. NC State beat Louisville, Syracuse, Virginia, Duke, and UNC in the past 5 days.
Right.
They're hot. I'm riding them.
And Texas Tech, they're a solid team. They play in a good conference. Obviously, the Big 12. That's a really strong conference. They played well. These teams. It's funny because a lot of them, like, are on the cusp. They go on these runs. They play well for a while, and then they go cold, and they play 50-50 back and forth. This is the type of matchup, like you're saying, that the dog could be alive in a game like this because these are the type of teams that are kind of, they can get hot, then they get cold. But I think the line on the game is right for the dog to stay in it at plus 5. Even if you want to adjust it, guys, you might want to get that line to +6 if you're thinking that's the right way to go.
Yeah, I like it at 6. I mean, I don't even know if I would buy it at 5.5, though. I might just leave it as it is and save some money.
Well, I got to go to the Big Kahuna because I know he's itching. He's banging me with his knees on the side of the table here because he's jumping.
I'd say something, but I don't think it's proper for this show, so it wasn't my knee, though.
Oh God. Oh, boy.
All right, let's get going here. All right, I figured I'd have to throw that
That's how much excitement March Madness brings.
Right? It brings the animal out of the Big Kahuna, that's for sure.
Right.
All right, what are we looking at Thursday?
No, but let me say this, and this is a real interesting point. And you look at these teams that made the tournaments, but you got to look at the divisions some of these teams came from. Let's look at Oakland playing Kentucky. Oakland is in the Horizon division. It's a shit division. All right. Yeah, 30-3, whatever the hell they were. So you got to really look at this when they're playing these blue blood teams that have been there. Kentucky, Oakland, I'm not going to lay the points with Oakland, but I like the over. It's like 162.
You're a dog, Oakland, by the way. You're not laying.
I mean with Kentucky, rather. Thank you.
Okay.
The total's 162, 163. I think Kentucky could put up 100 points by themselves. Oakland could put up 60, 65 points. The play here is over. Oakland is horrible. Kentucky could just run right through them. Over 163 on that game. That's a really strong game for me. Once again, the Horizon division is not really a competitive division. Kentucky should score a lot of points. Oakland would be good for 60, 65 points. I'm going against you with BYU. BYU could score from any point of the court here. Duquesne started 0-5 on the season. Yes, they came back. But I think in the end, once again, Duquesne's, correct me if I'm wrong, when was the last time they were in a tournament here? You got a team like BYU that has the experience, that can shoot and put up points. I'm going to lay the 7.5 with BYU to cover.
I think it's higher, isn't it?
It's it's up to like 8, 8.5.
All right,
now.
well, I would try to buy it down to 7.5, 8. I think in the end, BYU pulls away in the second half. To jump to Friday, I'm all over Iowa State with you, Teddy. Once again, the Summit League. These teams that are coming from these divisions really don't have the real depth and experience to play with an explosive Iowa State. I think they blow them out.
Especially them being so hot right now. If they limped into the tournament, I'd say, okay, maybe. But, yeah, I agree with you. Really quick, I just wanted to touch on something. Your Oakland total, it's actually closer to like 162, 162.5. So the people get a little bit of a easier go there. And I agree with you.
It did come down a little, but I think Kentucky could put up 100 points by themselves.
It opened lower, though, so it is moving up, and I agree with you on that play. I like that play a lot.
All right, great.
There you go. You guys.
I mean, I got a couple other little things here. I mean, we could talk. We got to mention FAU. We are in Boca Raton, people. FAU is literally 5 minutes from this studio. That line has moved considerable. Some people said they saw it +1.5, +2 FAU. Now it's -2.5. There is supposedly an injury there, but a lot of money has plowed in. FAU, people are thinking, can they be the Cinderella team this year? I don't think they have the team that they were last year. I would have taken them plus versus minus. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to lay off. I just wanted to bring up that's the biggest move so far on the tournament. Line has moved about 5 points.
Yeah, that's a pretty big move. I don't know what causes a move like that early. I mean, if it's sharp money coming in, or there was an injury, or things like that, or they just put out a bad number and they're just trying to correct it as fast as possible. But that is an unusual move, a line to move 5 points right out of the box in the first few hours of the game.
It is unusual, and it probably it could be a combination of both, but I just want to talk about that FAU team really quickly. They're top 25 in 2-point percentage. They're top 50 in 3-point percentage. Here's the interesting thing. They moved conferences. So a lot of people are looking at their record, oh, not as good as, but with that conference movement, okay, they're in a tougher conference now. I think that a lot of the fact that they're not looking as good is because they're in a harder conference. I think that they have that experience, and I think I'm taking them on the money line. I mean, I think they win this game. I think the experience, they're physical, they're tough, and Northwestern's more of like a...
Sounds like you guys are doing your homework pretty good.
Yeah,
You're breaking them down from every avenue. I love it.
Northwestern's more of a
Listen up, guys
finesse
out there.
team. Northwestern has this guy, Boo Buie, and he plays kind of like Steph Curry. He'll just be dribbling, and he'll shoot off the dribble, and he's very good. But that's their style. They have that new school, shoot a lot of threes style, and FAU's kind of physical and defensive, and I think FAU takes it from them in this one.
All right, excellent. I got a couple of plays I like on Thursday. I think Drake definitely manhandles Washington State. You know, Washington State, they had their run for a while. They played well, but they tailed off towards the end. And this Drake team has been strong all year. I'll tell you, a team that's very physical from the inside and the outside with shooting. And I just feel they're more a powerhouse team than Washington State. I see Washington State can be beaten this game. The current line on the game is -2 Drake. I mean, they're favoring them over the stronger conference. So I just feel that Drake is the right side of this game. I'm not really big on, trying to do things with favorites in tournaments like this. But in this game, I got to be honest with you, I think Drake wins this game pretty handily. I think they're just going to smother them. And I don't think Washington State can play with this type of team running and gunning. So I'm going to jump on Drake in this game on Thursday, -2. That's a best bet for me. And one other game I like, I think they're going to come back, again, another favorite for me. It's crazy. But I like Creighton -12. I think Creighton's going to come out big time against a team like Akron. I mean, I just don't see the firepower that Akron can bring against a team like Creighton. And if Creighton's on, they're one of the best shooting teams in the country. We've seen them blow out some of the top teams out there. When they're hot, they're hot. And I think they're going to bounce back after that last game. And I like Creighton to roll by about 18 to 20 points against Akron. Yeah, I think they're going to just absolutely take care of business. So those are the two games I really like on Thursday. Again, I like Drake. You can even money line it at this point. Drake money line, and I like Creighton -12. Those are the two best bets for Thursday. Anything else we want to add in? Are we good on? What about Friday?
Well, yeah. I mean, here's another example. Duke, Vermont. Now, Duke is obviously not the team that they have been years going back.
They
But
miss Coach K, I think.
Coach K, he's ruled it for many, many years. They have struggled this season somewhat. But a team like Vermont, I mean, once again, it's coming from a division that really doesn't have a lot of competition.
But Vermont's been in these tournaments. They've been in the tournaments in the past. They got a good program. They really do. They got a solid program.
They have a good program, and they had a really great year. But I think the cream will rise to the top here. And I don't mind laying the 11 with Duke to beat Vermont here. I just think in the end, it's the Blue Bloods against a team that's been there but hasn't been there. I'll go with the blue chip. Go with Duke -11 on Friday.
Duke -11.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna agree or disagree on a game like that, but I think the dog is alive in a game like that. I really do, because I don't know, something about Duke. I mean, when they're right, don't get me wrong. When they're right, they're right. But I don't know. They've just been a little up and down, and I think a team like Vermont can stay in the game with. So that could be a live dog, guys. 11 points with Vermont, I feel, could be a very live dog.
And Scotty, you're with us. I want to give the people, when we line up on a pick, we do very well. You're with us on the Iowa State pick?
Oh, yeah. I like Iowa
All right,
State.
guys, so there you heard it. We are all three in agreement on Iowa State.
If they come back like they did against Houston, I don't see how they can't win that game by 25-30 again. Yeah, they looked really, really good. Both sides of the ball, and they got some really good powerhouse players on Iowa State, and they could drive to the basket as well as shoot from the outside. They're going to give fits to their opponent, I believe, and just shutting them down. That's the key. If you shut your opponent down and you're driving and making easy baskets, that line, I mean, that spread, you can cover those games very easily.
Yeah, a lot of people don't let the big spreads, and we've said this before, but don't let the big spreads scare you in some of these games, because there are going to be, you know what I found about March Madness and this tournament? I think everyone really wants to find upsets and find dogs. That's like, that people take pride in, I picked, Duke getting beat, or I picked Iowa State. They want that. They want that bragging right. Don't let the desire for bragging rights and emotion drive your picks. Yes, there are going to be some upsets. Yeah, some 5's going to beat a 12. I think
Always happens.
Last year did
Twos beat 15.
Did a 16 lose to a 1?
Once.
Who was it?
I can't remember. I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
I think last year it happened.
Yeah, it happened. Doesn't happen that often. Though.
Purdue got knocked out early last year. I don't know what they were.
Twos beat 15s.
15s beat 2s, you mean?
That's been happening,
for sure. But don't let that hunt for dogs take over your whole tournament game plan and strategy.
By the way, that Iowa State game, as we're talking, is going. I don't know if they're hearing us.
They're hearing us.
It's up to like 16 and a half.
We're moving lines.
Yeah,
and we're not even live. If we were live, I would say it's
Forget
us.
about it. We'd have people at the door here.
If we were live, I'd say it's us, but it's not us. But yeah, I mean that's the pick. It really is. I like another one on Friday. I like TCU, this Big 12 TCU team. Big 12 is a very good college basketball conference. And
solid. Yep.
They're playing Utah State, who's from the Mountain West, who, as I said in the beginning of the show, I don't know how 6 Mountain West teams got in, but they did. So TCU, you got a top 40 offense, top 40 defense. You got Emmanuel Miller, who's their star, absolute beast. And they don't make a lot of three-pointers. That's like the one negative about them, but they're a big, fast, physical team, in-your-face defense, forces turnovers, and I think I'm taking them on the money line here against Utah State.
How about these two teams?
You're going with TCU?
TCU on the money line.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
Uh-oh, we got one.
Yep, I like the dog in that game. I think that Utah State is a real strong team. I think they can definitely match up against a team like TCU, and I could see them staying in that game, even pulling an upset. I would grab that line. Right now, the current line I'm showing on is about 3.5 plus. But, my opinion is if I could get that line up to 4.5, I like the dog in this game. I think that game's going to be a tight game. I think you could go down to the very end to see who wins that game. But I like the points. I like the dog in that game as the right side, I feel.
How about they call it the first 4 tomorrow? Wagner, Howard, Colorado State, Virginia. Those two of those teams are going to be in the tournaments.
Yeah. So I think they're playing for the 10 seed. Colorado State, Virginia playing for the 10 seed, and then Wagner, Howard playing for the 16 seed, something like that.
I mean, it happens every year. Why you seem surprised?
No, not at all. But it seems like they don't get much coverage these two games.
No, but you know what? Listen, programs grow over the years, guys. Just because they didn't have a good maybe a good program, and now all of a sudden they bring in good coaching and they get good players. Recruiting good players. I mean, things turn around. I mean, it's not always going to be the same teams over and over and over. I mean, it's good. It's actually good to see the parity of all these teams, like we talked about, that can beat any team on any given day. The only powerhouse to me that stands out right now is Connecticut. I just think that they're a freight train, and they're just moving full steam ahead. It would have to take.
Do they cover the 26.5?
Well, that I don't know. That I'm not.
Stenson.
I'm just looking. Yes. Well, Stenson.
Stenson's in Florida. Am I correct in saying that?
I believe they are. Yes, they're a Florida-based school. Yes.
Up a little bit more north.
Imagine that. Take them as on the money line outright.
No, I don't see that happening. I don't think
you'd be on an island with.
I think UConn is going to sail to the final.
You think they beat? You think they beat Iowa? Them and Iowa State are in the same bracket.
Well, it's
going to be a good matchup if they make it. If they both get there.
Yeah, that would be a phenomenal game. But, I got to give the edge to UConn right now. Just Dan Hurley's doing a phenomenal job with that program. And, they're just playing full steam ahead. They dominate. Even in a game the other day, I don't know if you saw the game against Marquette, it was like a very, very low-scoring game. And then just out of nowhere, UConn goes on a huge spurt, shuts them down, and they win the game, by 16, I think it was.
Biggest line on the tournaments is UConn opening game.
Yeah, well, they're the best team. Right now, they're probably the best team in the country, consistency wise. I mean, you see Purdue has been beat, recently. You see North Carolina has been beat recently. Houston just got destroyed by Iowa State. I mean, I like Iowa State guys for a reason because, as I told you, I look for teams that are moving that plateau in that direction of getting stronger and stronger.
They shut down Houston the other day, yeah.
And I just think right now they're playing on that plateau where they're just moving up the charts, as they say, to the highest level. So I like the way they're playing. I'd be quite surprised if they got knocked out until the very end. Against, obviously, let's see what happens with UConn. But that's probably going to be. Would that be the?
That'd be the Elite Eight. That'd be the Elite Eight matchup, UConn and Iowa State, if they both make it there. I'm looking at the bracket right now if you want to take a look at it. But, yeah, so they're both in that bracket in the East right there.
Yeah, that's a tough bracket.
Going all the way
That's
to
probably
the
the toughest bracket of all of them.
I think so. I mean, you got Illinois at 3, Auburn at 4, did Auburn just win the SEC?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they won the SEC. They beat
the
Florida,
Gators.
right? They beat Florida.
That's another surprise team
Handily.
you mentioned, Auburn. Watch them guys. I don't know about the first round, but I like to watch some of these teams through the first game or so, just see how they're doing, see their emotions, see how they're handling things under the pressure of these tournaments. Once they start flowing, and you can't wait too long, obviously, because there's not that many games. But the bottom line is, I like to see how these teams play and see how well they're organized in the first game, and then I can get a better indication going into the second matchup, whoever they're playing against, because now I've already seen what's going on a little bit. Now I can judge the line on the next game and get a little sharper number and really take advantage. So sometimes it's good to watch before you run into play. Maybe you watch these first games a little bit. You don't play as strong. If you're going to bet 100, maybe you bet 50. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and then you're
try
saying
to build it up over
watch
time.
Thursday and Friday, and then bet bigger.
Well, yeah, based on
Saturday and Sunday.
Not a bad strategy if you have self-control and you.
Well, you need that, guys.
Yeah,
Listen,
I mean, let's
we've been
face it.
preaching this
Yeah,
for all
I
year
mean,
long. This is our first year we're doing the March Madness show here, but we've been on for several months, and our big component is trying to preach to you guys. I'd rather teach you guys trying to do it the right way. Listen, I'm not going to be right all the time. Neither is Teddy. Neither is Tommy. But at the end of the day, we're giving you good advice when it comes to managing your money. Don't rush out just to slam these games because you're excited about a tournament. It doesn't matter. You're going to be in action all year long, most likely, playing all different types of games. So don't just go out and rush to gamble on these games because they're there on TV all day, all night. Look to find the ones that you think you have an edge with and play those games accordingly.
Reminds me of the movie Tropic Thunder when they had to tie Jack Black to the tree when he started Jones and when he lost his goodies there. I don't know if you guys saw that movie.
Nah, I've never seen it.
Oh, classic.
So another thing is
Throw Big Mama from the train, too.
when does baseball start? I think it's
27th,
the end of the month.
27th, right?
Yeah.
28th. So you're going to have a window, guys. This might sound crazy, but you're going to have a window of about 10 days between the time baseball starts and when the tournament's over, Elite Eight, Final Four, championship game. These baseball lines in the first few weeks, in my opinion, are going to be real easy to pick some good winners. Baseball is a progressive season. As it gets later in the season,
Right.
it gets harder to pick. So
You think,
even
not to cut you up, but do you think the philosophy I mentioned to you, like starting out slower, seeing how these teams are progressing, and then trying to catch them at the right time, where
absolutely,
you play more money on them?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you take your bankroll, you play a smaller amount of it at the
Absolutely.
beginning of baseball, and then try to build it.
Well, so that's a good thing. With baseball, the way I like to do it is like almost like a pyramid where I kind of raise my bet up until the All-Star break, and then after the All-Star break, I actually start coming back down towards the end of the season.
Why is that the kiss of death, the All-Star break? You ever notice that? After the All-Star
Everything
break,
changes in baseball, and it's not really. I mean, football obviously doesn't have an All-Star break, but hockey does. Hockey kind of remains the same, and NBA kind of remains the same. Baseball, for some reason,
crazy, right?
It's like 2 seasons. Maybe because the season's so long and there's so many games.
Yeah, they play so many games.
Maybe they're just chilled because they get those 4, 5, 6 days off. So
things really change after All-Star break in baseball. It's one of the craziest phenomenons.
You know, maybe because of the pitching rotations aren't the same too. They're going off course now because they're missing time. Who knows what it really does? But it seems like you mentioned, after the All-Star break, man, things change.
And we'll be getting into some baseball soon, guys. So keep your eyes open for that.
And I think we should explain to the viewers, some people, I'm not going to get into it now, some people don't understand how to bet baseball. So a lot of the newbies, and there's many guys and gals coming in right now that literally don't understand the point spread. I have to explain. They all know the money line and they know parlays. They don't really understand the point spread. Inject baseball. I think we're gonna have to do a little tutorial here how to bet the money line.
Especially when you're betting the run line in baseball.
Right.
A huge thing is the home versus the away team. That's a big thing that people don't look at, because if you're home and let's say you want to bet a home team -1.5, well, guess what? If they're up by a run, there's no final inning for that team, so you're not going to have that last opportunity to put runs up.
Last hurrah.
So when we get into baseball, we'll talk about that. There's some deep strategies when betting the run lines in baseball.
Are you guys, not to get off the topic, we were supposed to be on March Madness, but are you guys big fans in baseball of like the +1.5 runs or laying 1.5 runs? Are you guys?
If you remember last year on this show, I was actually talking about that towards the end of the year last year. Because the juice becomes so big with some of these big favorites,
Yep.
you can't sit there and bet -200s all day. So yeah, I like playing the.
But would you prefer to get it if you had to pay the extra juice to -1 run versus 1.5? Because you are able to do that in some places, right?
I like that.
Okay.
It's kind of like in hockey where you can bet the favorite. If you want to bet the favorite and they're too juicy, you can bet the favorite to win in regulation, and you can save yourself some money there.
Right.
I think there's value in props with baseball. A lot of money can be made betting props in baseball, pitchers,
Strikeouts and stuff like that.
all that over 1.5
Total
hits,
bases on players.
Total bases. Guy hits a home run, he just blows it out right there. That counts as 4.
That's 4 bases.
Yeah.
Right?
So if you get a hot guy, I remember a couple of years back, I was riding Aaron Judge the whole season.
So here's
I was going over 1.5 every day.
Here's the big thing right now in baseball. They're trying to put who's going to hit more home runs this year, Ohtani or Aaron Judge? What would your early indications be? I mean, do you have an opinion on that?
Is Judge healthy?
I was going to just say, is he even healthy?
Well, if he's healthy and he comes back in, I guess from the time he comes back or whatever the case may be, and Ohtani, head to head, I guess the amount of games they play, who do you think is going to have more home runs this year?
There's a lot that goes into it. So Ohtani obviously had the injury last year where he couldn't pitch, but he could still hit.
Right.
Judge injured also. I would go with Ohtani this year, just because I think that the Yankees have a lot of issues going on. They, I was reading articles about how Hal Steinbrenner, George Steinbrenner's son, he does not like spending money the way his dad did.
No.
There's a lot of people that they
There
thought.
was only one George.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that they thought the Yankees should get, and they didn't get him. You got Garrett Cole. He's one of their
done.
biggest
He's
pitcher.
done now.
He's hurt. No, he's
Might be
opting
out for a
out.
while.
He's opting out of Tommy John's, from what I'm hearing, and kind of delaying the inevitable. So yeah, the Yankees have some issues. Their future's
Cy Young, a winner on the shelf. That's going to be tough for them to overcome.
A lot of people thought they were going to go after Blake Snell, and they didn't go for him.
Blake
So
Snell's a good pitcher. He's pitching for the Padres.
and I just think that Ohtani's married now. He's settled in. His whole future's set. I think he's going to be nice and relaxed and be on a better
I think
team.
that's good. That's a good point you just made. He's going to be settled in. Now he's got a family. Now he's in a place he's feeling good about. And he got the big money. So now he can just do what he does best, just
Right.
focus on baseball.
And he's on a good team. I mean, let's face it, he was not on a good
Oh,
team.
yeah. I mean, look
You
at
know.
that lineup.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
And that's another thing. When you have a lineup to kind of relieve some of the stress, it helps a lot.
And let's not forget about what's going to start mid-April, NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's going to be crazy, huh?
Yeah. We'll save that topic for another time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just
But
right now.
But back
it's-
to the tournament. How do you guys feel about filling out a bracket and entering contests?
I'd like to win that $1 billion that
Right?
Buffett's giving away. That's for sure.
you got a better chance buying Powerball or the Florida lottery.
Did you see Did you see
900
these
million
Yeah.
tomorrow.
You imagine that no one's won it in 28 days?
Crazy.
28? I don't understand that. How could no one win it with all those combinations and numbers out there for 28 different sessions?
Just goes to show you how many combinations there are.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of nutty. But all right, before we go, I got to ask you guys. I know the audience wants to know. That's why I'm kind of putting this out there. Your pick to win the whole tournament. Do you have one? You too, Big Kahuna.
Well, I know
I'm letting you off the hot seat.
I know yours is. I know yours is UConn. I'll give you my Final Four. How about that?
Oh,
Wow, that's good.
I'm going to give you my Final Four.
I didn't go that far.
I'm going with Iowa State coming out of the East, upsetting UConn in the Elite Eight.
So that knocks me out based on that. All right.
I'm going with Marquette to come out of the South.
Really? Okay.
I'm going with UNC to come out of the West, and I'm going with Purdue to come out of the Midwest. And I'm going to go with Purdue to win it all.
Purdue to win it
Wow.
all. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Teddy Brooks, Purdue.
Now, that could all change in a couple days. So
Yeah, well, when we do our next show, I don't know if we're going to be doing one this week or the beginning of next week, but we're going to be on top. Obviously, we'll have a better indication on what directions we're going to go in. We'll see these teams play at least a couple of times, and then we can really, really help you out, we feel, getting a better indication on these point spreads on which teams make the most sense. So as I said, sometimes it's good to start slow. In anything, you want to start slow before you just run and go full steam ahead. You might want to just start out slow, guys. Play a little bit at the beginning for the first day or two. See how these teams come out, and then you can really get a better judge on moving forward through these tournaments on which teams may keep going. You agree with that?
well, once again, if you do this for a business and look to make money, it's a great idea.
Okay.
If you're just going to be betting for the sake of betting,
Just going to gamble anyway.
you're going to just be a degenerate, and you're going to just
You're gonna chase them all.
You're going to chase them all. Which listen, you're entitled to do what you want, but you should pick your spots. I totally agree.
Listen, I agree with you 1,000%, Big Kahuna,
If
because
you pick your spots, then you have a little bit of an edge, a little leverage here versus coming out of the gate. Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
I'm a big believer in 20% in this tournament, which means you bet 20% of the games.
No, it's smart.
okay, so you knock out, say you play 14 of them
Yeah.
around there, right?
Yeah.
14 games.
You'll go broke if you play every game.
I want your pick.
Well,
the
I
people
mean,
want you. I don't. The
I
people want
give
it.
Teddy credit for putting the Final Four up there. I want to talk about that after the first round, but UConn wins it all in the end, I believe.
Okay.
I also predicted them on our last show. They'll get into the Final Four. I think that's a lock personally as a future bet. But
I didn't see the value of that, to be honest
What's
with you.
the line?
Minus 130 to get to the Final Four. I mean,
well,
I don't.
a win's a win. I mean,
No, I get it, but I mean, lay 130 for a team like that. I'd rather find other ways to be playing them and than just sit
Well, you could
there.
always hedge it. You can bet them, but that is juicy. Then they have to beat Iowa State, but you could always, if they end up playing Iowa State, you could probably get some good plus money on Iowa State and kind of hedge it out.
I think if those two teams play, depending on how well they're playing going head to head against each other, I think UConn's going to be a pretty significant, at least a 4.5, 5 point
I was going
favorite.
to say probably a 5-point favorite.
Yeah, on a matchup like that. I mean, it could be different, but
And they are the defending champions. Let's not forget that. So
Listen.
that holds some water in both ways. It could be a positive. It could be a negative.
this Dan Hurley has done some job with this program. Incredible. He's really and quietly has gotten this program turned around, and you see what's going on with UConn. So your pick again? I'm sorry, was UConn. All right,
How about yours?
I'm leaning towards UConn. That's what I was thinking to win the tournament. Yep.
Wow.
I don't think anybody can stop them. I really don't. I think they can turn it on the defensive side, on the offensive side. They can score 100 if they need to. I mean, not that they're going to probably do that often, but they can, defense you to death where they keep you under 50, 60 points. And if they keep you on the defensive side under a certain number of points, They're going to win on the offensive side. So I just see them just being a dominating force on both sides.
Like your Celtics in NBA, who's going to stop them at this point?
Well, the only buddy that can stop the Celtics, I got to be honest with you, is the Celtics. That's the only buddy that can stop them because they could run in. They could not show up. They might not show up one night or 2 nights in a playoff game. I mean, they showed that against Golden State. They were supposed to win that title that year, and Golden State ended up beating them. But Denver's had their number. Denver's beat them both times they played them. But the Celtics are playing amazing. What are they, 57 and 14 so far this year?
Covering on the road, these double digits and everything. It's crazy, huh?
Well, I think we've informed the audience out there a lot of different things. We gave you who we think's going to win the tournament. We gave you picks on Thursday. We gave you picks on Friday. We talked a little bit about Major League Baseball. We're going to get into some NBA coming up, obviously, later in the month into next month. We got NHL hockey playoffs
We haven't
coming.
even talked about that.
This is the smorgasbord. This is the time of year, guys, I got to be honest with you, we love. There's so much going on. And we got experts like Teddy and Tommy that can bring that winning edge to the table. Listen to what we say. I mean, we're not going to be right all the time, but we're going to try to put you in the right direction. And we're going to try to save you from making mistakes. And I'm sure you agree with that, Teddy, when it comes to just trying to not put yourself in the position where you go deep and then you're out of the game altogether. Try to stay in the game, try to play right, and just take advantage of some opportunities out there that we can help you with.
Yeah, a lot of people, they blow their whole roll on football. They don't even really have money left over to bet this stuff here. Let it flow. Make sure you have some funding for baseball season. Play smart, definitely.
You know, I'm thinking I'm going to make some big bets in this tournament, and I'm going to help Bruno Mars out. I think that, he's just too good of a performer. I got to help the man out a little, put towards that $50 million. I don't know what you're thinking.
Another thing we didn't talk about, maybe I've been following this Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. There's some fighting words starting to come out.
Oh, you saw that? They put a tattoo.
Tyson's looking to take this guy out. And real quickly, someone brought up a very interesting point. If an amateur basketball player went up against Michael Jordan today,
okay,
on a one-on, let's say
when you say an amateur basketball player, can you what do you mean? Someone that's like a college
player?
Well, let's face it. I'm not a pro or con Jake Paul. He's not really from my era. He was a YouTube dude that created content. Now he became a boxer. Okay. I'm also going to be the first man on Mars one day. So, but you take a guy like Michael Jordan at his right now, at his late 50s, 60, whatever he is, right, against a guy that never really played basketball, but now is playing basketball one-on-one, who's going to win?
Oh, well, there's so many. I'll let you want to.
I'm just saying, you're getting a guy.
I could answer it.
There's a lot of, like you said,
there's a lot of variables.
Boxing is different, but
is he a good college player that's a great shooter and a great penetrator? I think a young guy could outwit a guy that's 40 years older than him.
I'm not even talking college. I'm talking someone that
just an amateur person.
That's not Jake Paul, though, because Jake Paul has been boxing every day
for years,
for the last 4 or 5 years.
All right,
I tried to tell him that the other day.
So you gotta remember,
he's training like a real boxer. He is a real boxer.
He's a boxer, and he's training
fights.
like a boxer. And yes, he hasn't been fighting the top tier, but he's still a boxer, and he's doing it every day. So to make that comparison, you would need to find someone that has dedicated every day of their life to basketball for the last 5 years, and that probably has played. It's a little bit different. It's a tough one to compare.
Well,
it really
I
is.
can answer real easy. If it's just some amateur off the street going against Michael Jordan, they have no shot to beat Michael Jordan at all because he'll just out-trick them. He'll use his smarts and everything
What
else.
about a bench NBA player?
How about the kid that won? He won slam. Was it slam dunks or three-point contest?
No, the white kid, the one the slam dunk contest.
He was off the bench. He was like
all I'm
out
saying.
Of the league even.
There's a lot of people not giving Jake Paul any respect as a boxer. That's all I'm saying. He has boxed. Yes, he has won. He's 7-1 or whatever.
Which one is it, Picona? You're confusing me. Do you agree he's worthy of fighting Tyson? Because you're saying he's a YouTuber and he's not really trained like a guy like Tyson. So are you saying that he can stand up to Tyson or no?
For $30 million, he'll get his.
Is there going to be a line?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there is. Yeah, he's
So
a
it's
big
like-
favorite. Jake Paul's
yeah,
a big
it's
favorite.
big favorite.
Right? Yeah,
It's like 4 or 5 to 1.
Yeah.
I
So he's
mean,
like
that
minus
could-
400.
something like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's got 40 years, 30 years in his corner working for him, and like you said, I mean these guys are training. I mean, this guy's training every day as a boxer. I mean, he's had 11 fights. Yeah, he hasn't fought Canelo Alvarez or all the top guys out there, but at the end of the day, he is training and he is boxing. So
all right, it'll be interesting to see.
let's see how far Tyson can go before he wins out. You know, he can
That's the thing I'm concerned about is the win factor, is the cardio factor.
Right.
This Tyson. You know, one thing you can't say about Jake Paul, his cardio is definitely going to be A1.
well, guys, we touched it all today, man. It hit every base, as they say, out there with the sports world. And we're going to keep you guys informed of what's going on with the shows coming up. We're going to have more March Madness stuff next week. We're going to try to keep you in the winner's circle with some great advice. And I appreciate you guys coming on this week. Very informative show.
Great show.
Big Kahuna,
Yes.
how can the people find you and get that winning information?
Well, I've been on fire, ladies and gents. Instagram, OSB_sports. I got 2 plays up daily. Check out my YouTube. You'll see the show up on YouTube, OSB-sports. And my website, I do have that odds comparison feed, so you want to shop numbers during the tournaments, onlinesportsbet.com.
All right, you heard it. The one and only Big Kahuna. Here he is, the man. He put out the first 100 games. How was the record, by
You're
the way?
watching, huh? You're watching me.
I'm watching every move, Teddy.
So we completed our first 100. You know, they say when a president is elected, the
first 100 days.
First 100 days is very important. So we kind of mirrored off that, and we tracked our first 100 games. Our last game was the New York. I was actually going to give it on this show, but we had 2 great guests last week, so we didn't have time for any picks. But the last of the 100 was the New York Rangers on Saturday. So that put us at
beat the Devils, right?
they
it the
they
Devils?
beat the Penguins.
Penguins, okay.
That put us at 67, 31, and 2 in our first 100 games of the season.
Wow, that's huge, guys. Think about that. 100 games, the man won 67% of the time. I mean, you're not going to get – and those games he's putting out for free. Can you imagine what he's doing with his exclusive games that he's probably doing 3 times as much work on? Check him out. That's the best advice I can give you.
For free. And where you could do it is Instagram at @the_profits_pick, no S on pick, or youtube.com/@thesportsprofits. So let's see what our next 100 does.
Well, you can't get a better name than Profits when you're 67, 31, and 2, correct? Huh?
Absolutely. And we're not betting, minus 200s here. The highest juice will really go. We average out at about 130 on the juice if you take it. Because in hockey, you have to pick, you have to lay some juice in hockey sometimes.
Yeah,
you got to lay, 140, 150. And then, of course, we'll have our regular minus 110. So it averages out about 130.
Whatever you got to do, guys, to get the edge. Sometimes you got to lay the juice to get it. So what? So be it. At the end of the day, if you got a 67, 31, and 2 record, who cares if you're laying a little extra juice?
Yep.
You're still making money over
Still
those,
making profit.
You're making nice profit over those 100 games. All right, I'm Scott Matthews. I am the host of this great show, the OSB Sports Podcast. We do it every week right here at Podcast Junkies in Boca Raton, Florida.
Beautiful Boca Raton,
We got our man Ben running the show here. We got my main man hanging out behind the curtain over there, Christian. He doesn't pop out too often, but these guys do a hell of a job for us. We appreciate them more than we can tell them. And you could check me out. I'm Scott Matthews, as I said, on TikTok, SM Picks, Picks. I just hit my last 6 out of 7 games I put out for free, so those are good numbers. We're consistent. We put them out every day. And also on Instagram, check me out, SM Sports Picks, Picks. And check this show out, more importantly, on all podcast forums. What do I mean? I'm talking Apple. I'm talking Spotify. I'm talking YouTube. I'm talking wherever there's podcast, look for our show, OSB Sports Podcast. Have a great day today. And we'll catch you back here either later this week or the early part of next week.